Okay, so what I was saying is I listened to a couple of podcasts over the past couple of days that were on similar themes. The first was that interview with the psychiatrist from the University of Virginia, that he and his research group have been studying children who have memories of past lives. And they've studied 2,000 plus cases of this. And they're looking at it from a very scientific point of view. And but the perspective on it is when things like this are reported, they're not trying to prove anything or disprove anything. They're just taking it as evidence. And so when you have parents who are reporting this, it's not something you just, it's a fact. It's a data point. Right. That they're interested in investigating.
Right.
And so at its core, it's scientific, right? Because to say, I don't believe that, so I'm not even going to investigate it, is like the kind of anti-science, right? Yeah. So they're saying this is a data point. There's something happening here, so we're going to study it. And so I told you, I gave the case study of the boy who was like starting at 2, talked about his plane going down. And
right.
Yeah, and having memories. And the father did research and was eventually able to connect it to this
kamikaze.
Plane that had gone down in
or not kamikaze.
In like World War II in Japan. And so and he even connected, like figured out who he thought that the boy was. That was actually apparently a rare case because it was in the fairly distant past. That more often it's more recent history. So, and then like I told you, the kids have these memories. They report these memories from about like 2 to 6 or 7. And by the time they hit 6 or 7, they tend to forget it.
Yeah, it just gets vaporized.
And like all of the early childhood memories. And then they go on to develop normally.
Yeah.
So it's not traumatic for them. It's really disturbing for the parents, though. Because they're like, their kids are talking about other parents, other families, other lives, other memories. And the parents are like, I have no idea what's going on here. So I thought that was super interesting. And one thing that I couldn't quite wrap my head around, but he seemed to say that most of the kids, the past life memories that they're talking about involve a similar culture, or at least language. It's not like you have a kid in the United States who's like having a memory of growing up in Japan.
Interesting, right.
And so I couldn't figure out why that would be the case.
Right.
If this is some kind of reincarnation, it's almost like the soul stays in an area. Like I don't fully understand that.
Immigration laws, we're sending you back. Even your souls must stay in your countries.
Right. I don't know. Or it's like, there's not a direct familial relationship between the past lives that the kids are remembering and their current lives. So it's not really like an ancestry thing. So I don't really get that. Or maybe it's that those memories are more accessible in their current life. I don't know. So listening to that, though, was interesting. And like I said, you could take that as some evidence of reincarnation, souls coming back as another person. But, I mean, you could also form another hypothesis there and say they're just picking up a signal.
Tuning in.
Right.
Yeah.
They have consciousness. There is an overarching...
They have like an antenna. They have some kind of soul antenna that's reverberating.
Right. But then if that's the case, why would they only have it from early childhood and then it disappears?
Because it melts away.
The ability to tune into the signal melts away?
Yeah.
But then that wouldn't logically go away at age 6 or 7. Whereas what does logically go away at age 6 or 7 is early childhood memories. All of us have forgotten early childhood memories. So it does seem to be some vestigial memory that they just lose.
What does vestigial mean?
Well, I mean some leftover memory that they lose.
When you say leftover, what leftover
from their
what?
prior life?
From prior life, okay.
Yeah, I don't I don't. My hypothesis is it is a prior life memory and not a tuning into a frequency. Because if it was tuning into a frequency, you wouldn't necessarily lose that ability at age 6 or 7.
You could.
Not consistently for everybody.
You could. Let's say let's tie it in consider the possibility that it's a biological antenna. I know it's stepping back from the spiritual world, but let's just say it's a biological thing, like what's the gland? The pineal gland or something like that.
Right.
There's a gland that is present in your brain, some separate brain gland that we don't even know or care about. We haven't even researched it. We don't know it exists. And it just melts away. You think that it's nothing. It's like, actually, it's a super thin membrane. Mm-hmm. And that thing reverberates just enough for you to pick up on these signals, and you experience it. And it's very rare, but it happens. And by age 6, that just dissolves.
Well, and then there are people who are kind of mediums, mystics, psychics.
And maybe that membrane stays in there.
Right?
Yeah, maybe
and
it doesn't dissolve. Right?
Yeah, and you wonder, like, is it that, or is it something genetic about those folks? Or they retain that connection? And so then I was listening to another podcast where this was a little bit less interesting to me, but it was a woman who was a civilian working for the CIA in the 80s doing remote viewing. This is not widely known.
She's working for the CIA?
Yes. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I know that this is not widely known, but it is absolutely factual that the CIA was studying remote viewing techniques in the 80s. That was kind of like the break off of when they stopped doing the experiments with psychedelics, and they kind of, okay, we're not going to do the drug testing, but we are going to work with people who have psychic abilities and try to train them to do this remote viewing.
Right.
That was absolutely happening. And according to this woman, this account, she was doing it. But she also said that she had these psychic abilities since she was young. But then she said that the government had a program where they were trying to teach people how to remote view. I'm jumping between topics because I'm trying to string a lot of things together. Mm-hmm. So you've got memories of past lives. Mm-hmm. And then you have the phenomenon, other psi phenomenon. That's what that's kind of the umbrella term for all this stuff is psi, psi phenomenon. So you have remote viewing, where there are accounts of people who say, I can get into a trance, I can get into a hypnotic state, and I can travel outside my body and see things. There are people who claim to have that ability, and again, our government tried to train has attempted to potentially successfully to train people to do that.
Yeah.
So you have remote viewing. So listening to those brought me back around to the Telepathy Tapes, which I had never finished. So I listened to one of the last episodes of that, where one of the main boys that they talked to, the nonverbal autistics that they talked to, I think his name was JP, died.
During their
while they were doing
investigation.
He died. He loved to be in the water. He was a grown man. He was like 20 years old, but he was a big guy, and he lived with his parents. And he got into the hot tub and had a seizure and drowned. And by the time the family found him, it was too late.
Oh, I think I recall one of his stories.
Yeah, so he was a big focal point. So I think you should listen to this episode because it kind of started to drag a little bit or get repetitive. But I think you should listen to this episode because this episode explores a lot about what happens after our consciousness, what happens to our consciousness after we die.
Okay.
So he knew after he died, the nonverbal autistics that he was friends with, some he knew even from out of state, came. And he had been communicating to them before he died, saying he was going to die, and like telling them it was his time.
Right.
And
wait, this is not the one that had a girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
okay,
the girlfriend too
Yeah,
says she's still in communication with him. So right. So they say he's now passed on, another spirit realm. But then there was somebody who came that was like a psychic who had seen visions of him in the afterlife, and there were messages that he had sent. He gave her that she wouldn't otherwise know.
Right.
And they talked about, like, she had a vision of him building a house in the afterlife, and that he was, like, teaching kids. So just kind of interesting stuff. That what I thought was cool about it is this idea of, like,
Dude, go ahead.
what?
I'm just tripping that, like, if he's building a house and he's teaching children, and we call that the afterlife,
Right.
and then we tie it into reincarnation on the front end, what you were just talking about earlier. It's like, what if he's still in this universe right now, but he's now existing as a different, the same person, but different completely life that's happening. It's not, and you can't find this person on the same earth.
And
but,
the problem is you're also still thinking in terms of linear time.
Yeah, right.
Right.
No, yeah,
That's not all the lives.
Yeah.
So all
Exactly.
the lives
This could
that
be in the
you would
future or
live,
behind,
right? All the
yeah.
lives that your soul might inhabit are all already happened, are happening at the same time. And so this was something else I heard, that, like, if you learn something in one life, your soul can carry it to the next. And what you learn in this life, your soul in a previous life can also learn from, because it's non-linear. So each incarnation, you're growing, you're learning. And that's
I need some lottery numbers for my soul.
There's so much, Lyndon. It's, like, really hard for me to boil. I'm really hard for me to boil this all down, because but I need to get all this out. So just let me keep talking.
No, go for it.
It's really hard to get it all out.
This is interesting stuff.
So that in and of itself is interesting, right? And this is a theory that I've heard. This is a lot of, like, New Age thinking is along these lines of, like, you're here on this earth to learn things. The purpose on earth is to grow and learn and love and develop your soul. That is cool. But what is even more cool is if you think in terms of the collective consciousness, that the collective consciousness is learning from everybody. So one of the things they were saying about these nonverbal autistics in the telepathy tapes is, do you remember? Did you hear the part where they go to the hill and they kind of converse on the hill?
Yeah. That's their, like, main America Online, right? They go up on this, like, visionary hill, and they.
Yeah. So it's just so much to get out. So some of the parents are saying that when they started communicating with their nonverbal children after they learned the spelling, a lot of them knew things that they never remembered teaching them, that they didn't get taught, because a lot of them weren't in general school, so they weren't, like, necessarily getting it. Well, the autistics were saying that they learned that on the hill, and that on the hill they would teach each other, and other people would teach them. And they were reading books. They were learning books. They were learning, like, concepts. They were listening. They were looking at art. They were hearing music. And so going.
Was there any talk about? I hate to interrupt, but is there any talk about consumption of time for that?
No, instantaneous.
It's instantaneous.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So
it's not like, I was hanging out in the hill, and then I came back.
No, you
for,
weren't,
6
like,
months.
a flip. No,
Yeah.
instantaneous.
Yeah.
So what? But what I loved about that, and then is that. So bringing this all, this is how my brain is synthesizing a lot of this. Bringing this all together, it's not just that your soul is on a journey. It's that the things you're doing and creating on Earth add to the collective consciousness the beauty of all that's been accumulated. So it's not purposeless what you're doing on Earth. This is not just a playground. Human beings are capable of amazing, beautiful things, right? Amazing art, beautiful music, incredible literature. That all has value and still exists on that spiritual plane. It's still consumed. We learn from it. You can still enjoy it on that spiritual plane. And that is part of the purpose of life, is to create like that and create things that might be lasting even beyond a human lifespan. I thought was really cool. And then the way that they were talking about JP after he had died, he was still doing and being a lot of the things that he was in life, but just easier and better. And So then that brings me to the idea of manifestation. So this is also something that a lot of different religions, New Age philosophies, that's been a consistent thing. This idea that you can change reality with your consciousness. And I even listened to a guy who is into paganism. He was like a priest, like a high priest of some kind of thing. And so they do magic. And his definition of magic was just using consciousness to change, to affect an outcome. So it's not magic in the Harry Potter sense of like we're gonna float something in the air. No, it's like we're gonna you might have a spell, you might have an intention that you set, you might read from a book or something, but that is just a way to channel your consciousness to try to affect an outcome, to use intention to affect an outcome.
Okay.
That is a way that maybe like somebody who's a practitioner of magic, like a Wiccan or something, might see it. But I think it's a similar concept across the board. Like another way to think of it is, The Secret, right, or other things, but. The whole idea is
think it and then it
is, right? Manifestation.
Yeah. Think it hard. Think it hard. Breathe it in. Make it happen.
Picture it happening, right?
Yeah.
Picture it happening. Yeah. I believe in that.
Yeah.
I do. But what if what we're able to do on Earth, if you can tap into that, is just a glimpse? And the true nature of reality, if consciousness is actually fundamental, which a lot of philosophers and scientists have been coming to realize, if consciousness is fundamental, then if we're moving out of this earthly realm into a spiritual realm, well, it's all consciousness. Maybe it's like playing Minecraft, where right now we're playing Minecraft, we're playing the game, where there's rules and there's constraints. But then after you're done playing the game, it's free play.
Right.
So if you want to envision a house, you
so
just
right now,
build it.
So right now we're on the main quest mission.
We're on main quest.
We're
right?
on main quest mission
to level
right now.
up our character, to learn things, to develop things. And this thought I had is like also maybe to form connections and love. Because it absolutely seems clear from the telepathy tapes and all the things the nonverbal autistics were saying, it absolutely is clear that fundamental to all of this is love. The whole idea of like God is love, like whatever's happening on that spiritual plane is love.
Yeah.
And they talk about seeing loved ones, loved ones who've died. I think it does seem very clear that whatever love and connections you make on this earth stay with you on the next one. And maybe it's just for your soul to experience love so you have even more of it in the next realm.
Yeah.
And if you're reincarnated, maybe you all those people that you've loved in every incarnation, right? And there'll be infinite room for it, right?
What's the furthest back anyone has ever shared? Like the World War II example seems far back. Is there anything beyond modern society?
I don't know. I don't know the answer. This I've just dipped my toe in.
Yeah. No, I understand.
But I don't.
Just
he
curious.
Did say that mostly they were new.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of stuff where you got to be.
Did something happen in those times? Were there some weird experiments that were happening during World War II that they were playing around with, like nuclear and all these different things that like maybe we stopped time when we were screwing around back then, and then we caught ourselves in a stupid time warp loop thing where some spirits are kind of stuck in a big whirlwind washing machine.
See, this is the funny thing is that you always go sci-fi
I go
with
sci-fi
it. You're
with
going
it. I
sci-fi.
love it.
I know like anybody who's not been reading and consuming the same content as I am, or is not really kind of part of this conversation, is going to think that I'm talking sci-fi. I am not talking sci-fi.
I know you're not talking sci-fi.
I am talking about things that are being studied.
No. I'm just playing with that sci-fi idea. I'm playing with that sci-fi idea, and I'm also wondering if there's I'm asking about the distance or the time.
I don't know,
thing.
and I think you got to be careful about that
Why?
too, because there are a lot of people who will try to do things like hypnosis to try to remember past lives, and some of that is unreliable. Your mind can trick you, right?
All I'm saying, all I'm trying to. I'm looking for patterns, and what I'm seeing is like, okay, wow, that's pretty far back, World War II, whatever. But everything that you hear is somewhat explainable and researchable. What if, like, has anybody given examples of when they were hunting mammoth? You know what I'm talking about.
Just might be far back. I don't know.
Is there a limitation to this
Probably.
spiritual thing, or maybe they weren't spiritual to begin with, and so we're not even tapped in there. Maybe we weren't even human then, really. I don't know.
I think that spirit is everywhere. I think that animals probably have a spirit. I think that if reincarnation is real, you were probably an animal at some point. And maybe you get to move up the chain, maybe. You know? I don't know. I don't think consciousness is limited to humans necessarily. I think it's in everything.
Yeah.
To an extent, to a greater or lesser extent.
Yeah.
So, and then where do religions fit in on this? They're all probably tapping into some part of this, right? That says there is a fundamental truth here. And this is my main problem that I have, the hang up that I have with Christianity, is I think there's a fundamental truth there, but I don't like the dogma. Because I think the dogma's man-made and enforced by men. I think there's this fundamental spiritual truth. And maybe we like the dogma, we like the rules, but then people just take it too far, and there's not room for experimentation. And then it just becomes like a club.
Yeah, I can definitely see. I can definitely see that.
And it's like when I was growing up, my mom was like anything that was like new age. She was like, stay away from that. That's of the devil. That's bad. You know, I don't. So then, you do, but then there is the tough thing about the problem of evil.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
I mean, so then how do you know?
Right.
If this is good or bad?
I know. So this is the thing that I've had it in my mind.
And I'm not saying that religion has this answer either.
No, the problem of evil. It's called the problem of evil in Christianity, right? Yeah. I mean, it's there's evil is, but I don't know. I need to meditate on this a little bit more. Maybe I don't have answers on this right now, but I'll give some thoughts. So I've just been on such a journey with this whole thing. I mean, I feel like one of the very first things that led me to all of this was that UFO Rabbit podcast, right? Because she was exploring some of this, and some of this like unexplainable phenomena, and then she slowly evolved it into got more interested in the psi phenomena stuff. And I told you, she said that there is a dark side to some of this that she tries to steer away from. That she seems genuine in that, and has been exploring stuff that would bring that out, right? Like stuff like Skinwalker Ranch and thing, and think about cattle mutilations and things that are very creepy, right? And have a dark underlying element to them for sure. Yeah. And so, growing up as a Christian, my mom was like, stay away from New Age because you don't know who you're conversing with when you try to tap into that, right? Yeah. There could be a lot of tricksters, fools, demons, right? Like things. So if you're trying to tap into some other spirit realm, you can get easily tricked. So I am aware of that. That said, in the telepathy tapes, they were very much focused on this as love, right? It was a very spiritual and positive. It was all very positive.
What does religion say of love?
God is love.
Okay. Does that mean the devil is not love?
Well,
I'm specifically asking about, because when you say love, it's very comforting and you want to run to it. But if the devil uses that as well and is allowed to say love, can you be tricked that way?
See, I just don't.
Because they can say that at orgies all day long. Orgies have that. and they're like, it's all love. Just be comfortable. We love you. You're loved here.
I get what you're saying. I don't. I think that if you come at this with so a lot of the people who are into this spiritual stuff, who seek it out and study it, say a lot of it has to do with intention, right? Go in with positive intention. It's kind of like you get what you draw in, right? What you're seeking, right? If some people go in and they're doing like Ouija boards and like seances and stuff, maybe they'll bring in other stuff, right? But you want to go in with positive intention and love. So just another point on the Telepathy Tapes on the Hill. So she's had like bonus content since their original season, and she's preparing for a season 2. Or apparently season 2 is getting into more some of this other stuff too. Because like once you go down a rabbit hole like this whole world opens up of like consciousness and all the different mysteries. And what's so cool about this is this has been like kind of a big focal point of a lot of cutting edge science and philosophy just in the past 10 years. Like we've been on this.
Like what's happened in the last 10 years?
So remember again, so when I go back to how did I start on this journey? So one was UFO Rabbit Hole podcast, and the other one was physics and philosophy. I was literally just trying to understand the basics of that stuff. And that led me down this whole rabbit hole of consciousness and like all the mysteries of science, right? And realizing like, oh, I was trying to like find answers, and instead I found a bunch of questions. Okay. That was even before I got into all the woo-woo shit, right? I don't know exactly what's happened, but I do know that I think that science evolves, and there's different paradigms have primacy at different eras. For a long time, we've been in this materialist paradigm, where it's like if you can't demonstrate it, if it's not testable, right? If it's not if we can't validate it through scientific method, if you can't see it, observe it, whatever, then we kind of don't go there, right? We're just focused on the materialist world. Right. We have been in that. So that's like the people who scoff at any of the stuff that I've just been talking about for the past half hour, right? Anybody who'd be like, that sounds completely cray-cray, woo-woo, like completely unproven. Like that's a materialist point of view. I'm only going to focus on what I can see and observe, and what we have concrete information on. Which, by the way, is such a narrow way to be, right? Because then you're not going to expand the horizon of what you know, but at least very far. I mean, it's like then you're just in Plato's cave. You have no curiosity about what might be behind you. You're just in Plato's cave and you're happy there. Yeah. We have been in that materialist paradigm for a while, maybe a few hundred years, right? But we know from history we were not always there. We used to be, and we scoffed at this, but we used to be more mystical, astrology, the stars, we used to be a little bit more, it looked like it was like uninformed or unenlightened.
But to be fair, we spent a lot of time doing it. So
we spent a lot of time doing it.
We were better at it, I'm sure.
Good point.
We were better at it than we are now. We probably look at it now like, oh, what a bunch of goof-offs doing this dance and this stuff. Right. But if that's what you were, all of us were doing, the dances and looking at the stars and standing outside for 2 hours a night, make sure you get starlight before you go to bed. Right. Doing all these weird rituals just because they were well practiced, because there wasn't modern science. Right. Right. Maybe they were fucking way better at it,
Totally.
So, who knows?
So that, and then maybe it worked.
Yeah, maybe it worked, but we don't have record of it.
They had rituals
because they didn't have paper and pencils.
Right. They had rituals they did, and maybe it worked to, And then we don't even know what were the prevailing paradigms even farther beyond recorded history, right?
That's
we talked about, is we don't know how they built the pyramids. Like, were they using some weird consciousness technology? We don't know what's been lost. Okay, we only have our snapshot of history. So we've been in this materialist paradigm for a long time. The dialogue that I'm like kind of tapping into, hearing, reading, is that is slowly changing. It's right now, it's maybe just a small group, and it's not caught up. But remember, by the time the mainstream learns about it, it's already like old news, right? So this is like, you're not reading about this in mainstream news yet because they're way far behind. But the leading cutting edge like researchers in philosophy, physics, in some of these areas, psychiatry, there's a growing paradigm shift that our focus on the material world is missing the broader consciousness realm that's actually, and that this is shifting. Actually, there is a little bit of it that's broken in mainstream because like
controlling drones with your mind.
UFO has been part of the conversation, but yes, right, that is an idea, right? Could we do that one day? That is saying that consciousness that's
linked.
Using an assumption that consciousness,
I mean, it's still in the conspiracy theory
no,
box,
but I mean,
but yeah.
Right. No, simulation theory. Right. Simulation theory says this material world is not what it is, right? It's actually what's in my mind is real, right? That's similar to the conscious, it's not, there's the consciousness is the primary thing. And then whatever we see is layered on top of that. So that is a growing paradigm shift that's happening. And a lot of it is because there is actual observable things that is not really talked about, like not everybody knows about it, but things that are unexplained, like we've just been talking about. So anyway, trying to get back to my train of thought on, so I was talking about, so we're talking about the problem of evil. So going back to the telepathy tapes. So there was she's done some bonus content after the first season ran. And there is this guy, there's like another journalist who seems like a very, who's gone through some traumatic events. By the way, that's another thing I've learned is, unfortunately, going through trauma, heavy trauma can trigger some of these abilities. Some people who've had a major trauma, maybe PTSD as a result, some of them seem to get psi abilities after that or get more tapped into this stuff. It's happened enough that it's like part of the conversation.
It's like your soul trying to help you out. It's like, I know you're trying to bail right now, and this is way fucking heavy, but hold on. Easy.
It's just a coping mechanism.
You've ran a bunch of different simulation runs, and here's your magical collective. Here, we'll let you in. Let's just let you know that this is like, there's a lot more to this than what you're going through right now. You are holding the heaviest plates right now on your shoulders with your trauma. So I'm going to give you a couple gifts here to let you know that, help is on the way. I don't know.
So this guy had dealt with illness and then had been diagnosed with cancer. And he had like a serious cancer. And then he said that he was doing a lot of mind work, like meditation and stuff, because he believed in that mind-body connection. And he thought if he could control his thoughts, it could help him heal. So he was kind of working through that. And then he got interested in the telepathy tapes, and then he was somehow connected to the journalist that did them, Kai. And he reached out to her and he said, I'm really interested in this. This really resonates with me. How can I help? And she put him in touch with a classroom of kids that were nonverbal, like that was around, local to him or something. And he started volunteering there and getting to know the kids and working with them. And he was able to converse with them, and he was doing the meditation, and he actually was able to go to the hill in his mind.
Wow.
And he told the story. He went there a couple of times. And when he was on the hill, he was able to converse with some of his students that he had been volunteering with. And and he did it. It only happened a couple of times, but one time he went and there was a student there, and he told him in the hill, he said, my mother's name is Mary, my sister's name is Kathy, whatever, told him some things. And then the next day when they were in the classroom, the boy repeated it back to him. And he was floored. Yeah. So, and Kai asked him, was it like a visual thing? Could you see anything? He said, no, it was all auditory for him. But he was able to get there. And she was like, how long were you able to be there? And the first time it was a little bit. He said the second time, maybe 45 minutes. But then he was like, it's really hard to stay in that meditative trance. It's really, really hard. So he's not able to hold it. So totally crazy that just that this guy was able to do this. But he said that he asked them, like, was it okay for him to be? Oh, I know this sounds so crazy. It's tough. I want to listen to some of this content with you, so I'm not just regurgitating it to you, because it doesn't. It said it just sounds insane and it doesn't have the same impact. But he also heard a voice that was not one of the kids when he was there, and he's been able to converse with that voice since. And she asked him, like, what's that voice? And he said it's some kind of divine entity. He didn't say God. He didn't say angel. But it almost, so I don't know. But then she was saying, well, this is kind of concerning that you are a speaker and you were able to go to the hill. Like, what if this means other people are going to do it and, like, disturb them, right? This is kind of like their, like, special place.
I love how it's like immediately trying to be an exclusive club.
No, they don't
even though it's super hard to do it, and we're trying to understand it and research. Like, wait. You got one guy in? We're gonna lock this up. We're gonna close this out.
Well,
no, don't nobody try to, like, meditate and try to bother these kids or talk to them at all.
Well, no, they're worried about Halliburton getting in there. They're worried about the CIA getting in
Halliburton.
there.
I was like, who's Halliburton?
Yeah, they're worried about the government getting in there, taking control. So he said that he had a similar concern, and when he was there, he had asked the question, and the divine entity, there were actually two divine entities then, told him, don't worry, this place is under divine protection. That's being protected. And then later they asked one of the nonverbal autistics, like, has there ever been a speaker who's come to the hill? And they said, yes, this guy, said him by name. And they said, well, what if, and said, that's fine, he can stay. He's got a good heart, or he's got good intentions. And they said, well, what if someone comes that doesn't have good intentions? And she said, oh, we would just we would shoot them away. We wouldn't let them stay. So does that sound evil to you?
No, not off the bat. I think that the assessment of evil, well, as you were talking about this entity, especially if you just said there was a voice.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, at first sounds scary because, like, you don't know what it is.
Right.
But then I think about, when you're a child and you meet somebody and you know who they are, you're just kind of clinging to your dad.
Yeah.
And, like, you're just kind of like, then your dad or mom's like, it's okay, just say hi. Just say hi.
Yeah.
So somebody's always guiding you.
Right.
But now you're an adult, and then you are kind of thrown back into that world in the spiritual sense, because you're like, you're kind of a spiritual baby. You don't really know. But let's say you're not, like, full on a baby. Let's say that there are rules. There are rules that you just don't understand what the rules are. There's some kind of governing rule for this whole universe and this whole experience. Something is governing the entire thing. Okay.
Yes.
There's a form to it. We don't understand it.
Right.
So if someone was supposed to take you, they might as well just take you, but they can't, because it's like they're interacting with you. Otherwise, you'd be taken already. Mm-hmm. So proceed with caution.
Mm-hmm.
Proceed with caution, and be understanding, be warm, project good.
Right.
You project.
Intention is important. Yes.
You as the participant must project good.
Yes.
And then you see how that person responds, or whatever, how that voice responds to you. If they respond in negative, and it's anti you when you admit goodness, then there's something incompatible. I don't want to call it evil. Maybe they make mistakes too. Who knows? They're not totally pure, or I'm not pure. So who's to say that I might make a mistake too? You know what I mean? Like if I was somehow able to go to the hill, I don't want to come off like I'm evil, but I might make a mistake on there.
Right,
I might be like, oh, hey, what do you do here? Like, don't ask that question. That's really wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I don't.
No, but you're asking about genuine evil, though. Isn't there real evil out there and isn't some of this, you have to be careful that you're not being tricked by that. That was your question. I think it's a legitimate question that we need to explore.
That's why I believe in God, because I ask God to protect me when I don't know, when I'm being swindled by evil. When I'm being bested by evil, it means that entity is a bully and stronger and smarter than me. So I rely on God.
Right.
Who is stronger. He's my dad. That's the leg I'm clinging to. Like, what about him?
But
and then the dad comes and like, hey, get out.
Does your dad even want you dabbling in this stuff?
Who knows?
Because I don't like being told I
Maybe.
shouldn't do this. I don't know. I doesn't feel wrong to me. So, but going back to the problem of evil. So on all the stuff in the telepathy podcast, I'm not getting a vibe that it's bad. But I do understand there are people have had negative encounters, negative spirits, right? People have had bad encounters before. Maybe if you're not going into with the right intention, I don't know. So there is something negative that's out there that's also part of this. What I don't know is that to be feared in that it is an evil that has some actual power, or another thought I had. Again, just trying to. This is now me editorializing, trying to connect the dots. If I don't believe in simulation theory in that, like, this is like a computer program that we're running on. Like, that's, that's silly. But I do think that the it is kind of a useful analogy to what's happening a little bit, in that there's a base reality that's the consciousness level that's different from where we're at right now. And what we're running is not the end. So think of that. Simulation and theory can give an analogy. Think about that as just a construct, a way to think about it. If we're running some kind of a program where our soul is supposed to learn and grow, there needs to be conflict. Otherwise, the game is boring and you're not going to learn anything. So maybe evil is just the opposite. It's just the counterweight to love and connection and growth. It's just the natural. It's like it's all fractals, right? Like whatever people see when they take psychedelics, it's just the opposite of all those positive things, because everything's going to have an opposite. And so it's not evil to be feared. It's just part of the fabric of life and reality, to add texture and conflict so that there can be resolution, so there can be learning. And you might do evil in this life, and you might do more good than evil in the next life. But it doesn't make you evil. It just means you're having a human experience.
I mean, you can flat out say that I'm doing good and evil on the regular.
Everybody is.
So
how can we fear?
Right.
We are evil.
Well,
no.
To further,
we do bad things.
Well, I'm saying, I'll say this: the evil that I'm fearful of is the scary, deeper evil, like the harder stuff.
Right.
The stuff that I'm talking about evil is like, well, you're trying to make yourself better. You're trying to be a better person. Like those types of evils on the daily, right? But the big evils are what you're fearful of. But maybe that's just to continue your analog. Maybe it's just you're trying to be better balanced and not leaning on one side too much. I don't know.
I don't know. I need to explore it more. I think that I'm not done exploring these concepts. And I think adding a deep meditation practice is an important next step for me. I think some of this stuff you need to meditate. But the meditation is also trying to get in touch with your deeper essence, your consciousness, right? Because you have this program that's running in your mind, this chatter. But that's not your deepest, truest you. That's not your consciousness. That's just your brain running. And so a lot of what people with meditation, you try to quiet that voice, although I don't know if that's entirely possible. I've never been able to do it. But so maybe that's not the entire point, but you are trying to distance yourself from it and recognize that that's not you.
Yeah. Like completely lose your mind.
Well, so this is my understanding of the purpose of a lot of meditation, is that you are trying to distance yourself from your ego, that chatterbox brain.
Right.
And get in touch with your deeper self. And it helps. It's supposed to help Because if you identify too much with that constant running chatter in your brain, then that causes anxiety, depression, unnecessary suffering, because you're identifying too much with your ego. You're fearful. Like, it's like, what if this happens? What if that? Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Right.
Perseverating, right? You don't want to identify with that too much, because then you spin out on that. So by separating from it, distancing yourself from it, you can say, it's interesting I'm having that. Look at those thoughts that my brain is having. That is interesting. But that doesn't make them true. That doesn't even make them me. That just means that my brain is running on overdrive right now. And I need to separate from that. So that, I understand, is the point of a lot of meditation. And then that can help you get into that deeper kind of state. Now, you're saying lose your mind. That's interesting. I guess psychedelics are a way to like supercharge that effect.
What if you sever it?
Well,
What
have
if you
people
sever-
done that?
I don't know. Maybe they're walking around different and they don't even notice it. Meditation is you have to practice it.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. It's a skill.
You have to practice it.
Yeah. So I think I want to add I needed to try meditating. And but I think all of this is making me just a much more spiritual person. There's no reason to fear death. There's no reason even to fear loss, because it's going to be okay. We're all safe. We're all fine. It's going to be okay. And that is a deep, deep comfort. And I believe it with my whole heart. I really believe it.
Nice. I think that's a great place to end this podcast.
Well, do you have any more thoughts?
Yeah, I want to say thanks to our sponsors. But what if the pain is important in shaping your soul?
It is.
And so to say, like, I have no fear of pain or loss. What if like that? What if those are unique human experiences that are strengthen you?
Yeah, I know. I believe that 100%. So I was thinking about after I had a bad breakup when I was in law school. And I was kind of being all mopey about it. I wasn't really depressed, but I was just like mopey about it.
Yeah.
And I made a playlist of really like sad songs. And I remember at the time being like, this is so cool because I get to really feel these songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even though
the only time you can hear the only time you can really, really feel a song is when you're broken up with somebody.
Yes.
And then every lyric, every word makes perfect sense.
I just felt it. And even though I was sad, I was actually like getting something out of that experience. So I don't think it's not going to hurt. I know it will hurt, but I just know that I will get through it, whatever it happens, because my soul is meant to grow from it. There'll be some learning that happens, and at the end of the day, whenever I move off of this life, there's just love waiting for me. It makes me feel more connected to the children and to you, because I feel like our souls are supposed to be together.
That's really sweet, honey.
So, yeah, I mean, it's very profound. And, this could have been part of what Jesus was trying to say.
Could be, yeah. Could be. It all kind of rings the same, you know.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's the same wonder of like, what is all this? Why are we here? I mean, I know I don't mean to make this like sound sliced bread, like sliced bread rather, or whatever. But it's what are we doing here? Is there an afterlife? Sounds like there is. Can we communicate with those in the afterlife, whatever that may be? If that's a different plane or a different existence, are we a different dimension? Sounds like there are signs of that. And who are the players involved in this? Like, How many players are there involved in this? Why does it seem like the universe is empty when you're looking out into space? You know, I see plenty of stars, but we don't see other life forms or beings or, you know, whatever. How come we can't easily access this? Why is that not a thing? Why is it not easily accessible?
Well, and then I think you said this before. I this all is extremely interesting to me, and I want to keep exploring it. But I also feel like that is missing the point a little bit. This I gotta think on some more too, but we're here for a reason, to enjoy the here and now. So if you spend too much time trying to figure all that out, are you not missing the point of why you're here? Do we need to tap into all of that right now?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm not, that may have been what I said to you before, you know, my view changes by the millisecond.
Well, you had said, yeah, I mean, you can just get caught up in all of this stuff, and it's like you're missing the point. You're not supposed to be spending all the time thinking about why are we here.
Oh, I vaguely remember saying something like that. All I'm saying is that why, you know, let's just go back to what was easily accessible to us. Like, what's easily accessible? Is it the telepathy and connection with, for me? No, it's not. I don't have telepathic powers. Can I see into the future? No, I cannot. Should I exercise meditation to reach that? Yeah, you could try. That sounds good. Or I can be ultra present as much as I can in this experience and then embody the fact that I am conscious right now. Maybe there are a lot of beings out there or entities that wish they were conscious right now, but I have it. I own this right now.
Right.
I walk around this world with
Right. That's
like
what
my
I'm saying.
eyes, my views, my
Right.
breathing, my choices. I can
Right.
sit down and talk to you right now. And all these other powerful beings that have control of winds and sun and everything can't have consciousness right now. I have it.
Right.
So maybe I should just like
Enjoy this.
enjoy consciousness
Exactly.
for a little bit.
Exactly.
Because it's my turn on this it's my turn on the stone.
I think there probably is a balance to be had. I think we've lost touch with a lot of our understanding of the world and
Oh yeah.
nature.
Oh yeah.
It's very sad.
We don't even know
because-
what we're eating. And I mean that like in a very practical sense, you know, like when human beings interacting with like the food that they eat, the animals that we eat on this planet, would slaughter them, clean them, you know, raise them,
Yeah, I
feed
feel it,
them,
yeah.
and then pay homage when you eat them because it's like they're giving you nourishment. Now, like, I don't even know where our cows, what the meat that we get at the grocery store, where's that from?
I know. So, but I also think that we had a wisdom that's been lost. Like when we lived that way, closer to nature, closer to, you know, just our humanity, more in touch with our humanity. We had a deeper wisdom. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, ancient traditions and religions that were probably closer to knowing the truth, right? And then maybe there was less suffering, at least mental suffering, because, you know, I mean, think about all the people that would charge to war and die. I mean, they would die for a cause because they knew that what they felt what they were doing was worthwhile, and they felt that they were going to be rewarded in an afterlife. So I mean, there was, you know, I feel like there's a wisdom that's been lost with this focus on materialism for so many years, and then with how divorced we are from nature and from just our humanity, that I think we create a lot of suffering for ourselves because we've lost that.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the anxiety and depression and other mental health disorders are because we don't understand. We identify too much with our ego.
Yeah.
And we don't understand why we're here, what our purpose is. We've lost that.
Yeah.
We don't understand that we are not our thoughts. We don't understand that there is a greater consciousness, that there is a greater purpose. We've lost all that. We just think that the whole purpose is money.
And saving it.
And saving it. And so... And so I think you absolutely need to enjoy the here and now, but there is a balance. There is
Yeah.
value in in
I mean,
tuning back
you could
into
take
that.
you could take my argument and just turn it into hedonism,
Right.
right? And be like,
Right.
well, you know what? Like, if I'm able to F right now, I should just F all the time.
Right.
I'm the only one that can F right now, so I should be Fing. It's like that's, yeah, yeah. If you can go that far, but I mean, have balance, right?
Well, you should just I think truly enjoy this life. You also need to understand why you're here and what you're doing it for.
Yeah.
And I think you're here if you believe, but which I'm starting to believe, that you're here to to have growth, to have personal growth, to make connections, to to create and share love that will have lasting value, to even create art, something that might even become enduring past your lifetime. Like, sometimes we scoff at that, like people wanting, I want to leave a legacy, but what if that's not silly? What if that's actually like truly profound?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to leave something that lasts beyond my lifetime, that adds to the collective human wisdom.
Right.
Very few of us will be able to do that.
Right.
Very few.
Right.
But maybe we have to be a pretty extraordinary person to do that. There are plenty of them out there, and most of us are not. But we can add to that in just a little bit. But even if you can't, you can just create experiences and growth for your soul, and create and spread love. And if you believe that that's why we're here, and that transcends this earthly body, then that will help you know how to live and live better in the here and now. So that's why it's not a useless endeavor or silly to be asking these questions or spending time contemplating these questions if they help you live a deeper, richer life while you're here and understand more about the purpose of why you're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good way to channel it, I think.
You don't sound entirely convinced.
I don't want it sounds like the efforts that you've gone through, the lengths that you've gone through for your spiritual dive and exploration of consciousness, you just kind of shove that into an envelope and then like put it into the and then focus that to be a better person consciously here. It doesn't have to fit into a nice package like that. I think it's okay completely to enjoy and explore your your consciousness or spiritual journey and existence plane, all these things. I think that's good, but like on balance, not on balance, but with a balanced approach. I'm hesitant because I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know if I'm consistent enough in my beliefs. Like I said, like my beliefs will just kind of change by the millisecond. I kind of mean that. In a way, when I record these things, it's to help me remember what I said, because I'm always in a constant state of like consciousness. I'm living by the millisecond. I'm an F1 driver in my ego car. I'm hanging out there most of the time.
You've not dived deep enough into the things I have.
No, but I've done drugs.
Oh yeah. See, I got to all of this without really doing drugs.
Yeah. So so what you describe is not shocking to me.
Right.
It's not shocking to me. It's a very well articulated and descriptive of what I've seen and experienced. More so experienced. So
it's true. You experienced it.
what is truth? I know that I've experienced it. I don't know of what I experienced has any type of explanation. That what you're describing is one path of it, or one mask of explanation to it. I don't know if it's the right one.
Well, it's the one that religions have been trying to teach us the world's religions have been trying to teach us for thousands of years.
Yeah, yeah. No, because when you said earlier, that animals might have a soul. Maybe
Yeah.
things do have a soul. It's like I was in the desert watching rocks breathe.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I was, you know what? I got it all wrong. I looked at the mountains and I saw that right now I'm seeing these mountains and they look like they've never moved. But if I fast forwarded the earth at a speed of like a million years per second, and I watched 30 seconds of that, I would see that mountain move left to right, and you might even see the earth breathing itself, like moving in and out, and like maybe the waves and the mountains coming in and out towards the center of the core and bursting out radially, almost like a heartbeat. I bet you would see something wild like that, and you would look at the earth and go like, that thing itself is alive. That thing is conscious. That thing has, and it's forming. It's terraforming. It's growing. So yeah, things might have a connection. We might, and there is no time, right? There is no time. Things just are, and they are, and they've always been. They've always been. I think we're good.
Okay.
That was fun. We're exactly at an hour and 1 minute, 51 seconds. Good night.